Nobody will do the work for you. I know that sounds obvious, but I see too many people who depend on other people to figure it out or do it. I can tell you I am a Luddite, which means I'm not into technology. I don't have an iPhone. I just got a Fitbit after years of not having any sort of smart, bio device. I didn't know YouTube. I sat down and I learned how to do it because nobody else is going to do it. The same way many of us work with communications departments and we wait on someone else to do what we need. Sometimes you just have to do it yourself, particularly in a situation over the next few months as we continue to have reduced capacity in many of our organizations to get the work done. I'm sure many of you have co-workers, colleagues, organizations that are working on a shoestring budget with lower staff capacity, right? So we are all being asked to do more. Social media is not optional. Not much to say there other than if it's 2020 and your pool does not have a social media account that is specific to the pool, I'm not talking rec center, I'm not talking recreation department, specific to the pool, you are missing the boat. And I know that is very hard to get communications departments to sign off on that, but can you imagine the coronavirus, the last 4 months, if you had not had Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, right? This is how we thrive, okay? So social media is not optional. Workers value flexibility and humanity, a human workplace. Those of you that had a negative experience over the last few months, you probably noticed that your workplace or your organization didn't have the humanity that you needed during this time of stress. And we also, in the last few months, we've been focusing on accomplishments, not results. So there is a big difference. Accomplishments is teaching a child how to swim. The result is the Swim Kids 4 badge. There are differences. We all know kids that have a badge and they cannot swim to save their life, literally. We need to focus on the accomplishment of, creating a safe workplace, getting to work on time in a mental capacity to do the job, supporting our colleagues, right? That is very different from the results of opening the pool or filling lessons or growing revenue, right? There are distinctions we need to make. Start, change, and continue for our lessons post-COVID. I love this framework. I learned this at the University of Toronto. I would encourage you to use this for any framework that you have, whether it's for performance management of staff, whether it's for instructor candidates, whether it's for lifeguards, right? It can be for your children. You can use this anytime. This framework is slightly better, in my opinion, because it's more robust than your sandwich, right? Your traditional sandwich of positive, negative, positive, right? Or Red Cross, as a Red Cross trainer, right? We have group feedback, specific feedback, try it again, GST, right? Start, change, continue is a little bit more robust because we focus on things to start doing, things to change doing, and things to continue doing, okay? So an example could be, I want you to start using a lesson plan in the water when you teach lessons. I need you to change that you're turning your back to the kids during front glides, and I'd like you to continue being on time for shifts and respecting your colleagues, right, in the workplace. So I'm going to start, right, July moving forward in our back end, let's say, of the coronavirus pandemic until wave 2. I'm going to start learning how to do things for myself. So I don't want to, but I'm going to learn more about how to edit videos. I'm going to learn more about YouTube. I'm going to learn more about SEO, right? I'm going to start learning those things for myself. I need to focus on those small wins. So I mentioned those small steps. This is not the year where we say, a big goal, and if you haven't changed your vision board for the year or you don't have a vision board for the year, I would encourage you now to do a reset. The second half of 2020, decide for yourself, what are your goals at home? What are your goals at work? What are your goals for the work team? Everything I planned in January, I had to throw out. And there's no sense holding on to that old image. It's just gone. But start on small steps. So maybe your small steps are, we want to get the pool reopened safely. Difficult to quantify or qualify, but it's a small step. I guarantee you very few of you are thinking, I want to fill all my lessons. I want to fill all my shifts. I want to fill and open every pool in my municipality. We need small steps. We need small wins. My number one, some of you have heard me rant about this, we need to stop requiring video on conference calls. So right now I'm delivering a session. I'm very, animated with my hands. I'm committed to being on camera. I've got my makeup on. I'm all set. But requiring your employees to be visible during a routine meeting is akin to helicoptering that your guard needs to be in the chair or standing on the pool deck to be working, right? How many of us have ever been harassed by, and not harassed in a very negative way, but just annoyed by a dry person who says, well, I didn't see you doing this, or when did this happen? They don't believe you because they don't see you. A lot of our work is invisible. If you think you need to see your staff member, you're doing the same helicoptering. When the reality is, for privacy reasons, for safety reasons, for poverty reasons, you should not require visible cameras, right? This is huge for me. And I think a lot of people misunderstand what the Zoom can provide. There is no reason you need to see that person, okay? And I think that needs to change or stop. Small talk needs to go away. We discovered during the coronavirus how critical it was to be honest and authentic. If I had asked any single one of you in early April, how are you? Right? You would have looked at me and gone, she's crazy. This is an awful, awful month of my life. Small talk needs to go away. I had this conversation many, many times with a colleague I worked with. She was of the opinion that everybody should be greeted every single morning. So, good morning, Katie. Nice to see you. And I'm not suggesting that we don't make small talk sometimes, but we really need to read the room better, right? I have clients with whom I will spend 10 minutes sharing pleasantries, asking about their kids. That is what it is. But in the reality of COVID and going forward, we need to be more adept at reading the room. And in the absence of reading the room, we need to be slightly less Canadian and just get on with it, right? It's not benefiting anyone. And if somebody truly needs help, they're not necessarily going to offer it or say that they need it based on just a how are you, right? 2 days after my husband had a stroke, somebody says, how are you? I mean, I'm just not going to get into it, right? It's hard, right? So just be aware that small talk is not always beneficial. And then the last one is expecting employees to work a traditional workday. So I fully recognize that to guard pools, to run swimming lessons, we do need people to work set schedules that are typically 8 hours, right? Or 4 hours or 5 hours. I would just encourage you going forward to really reflect on how you have experienced the coronavirus pandemic, what worked for you, and be a little bit aware of how different schedules suit different people and their needs. So my household, we don't have children. And so for me, I just start working whenever I want to start working. I stop whenever I want to stop, usually for lunch or to go to a fitness class. And then I will often restart much later in the day. So perhaps today I work 9 to 2, and then I work 5 to 9. That's just my life rhythm. Other people with children, I heard during the coronavirus pandemic, they needed to work 5 a.m. to 9. Then they were homeschooling, and then they needed to work from 7 to 10. So the flexibility piece, I would encourage you to keep looking at that going forward and be more creative in the seasons of life and what works best to get the best results. Because I provide really good results on my schedule. I do not provide really good results when I need to be bum in a chair for 8 hours. That's the illusion of work versus the reality of work. Things that you have probably already started, and so I would encourage you not to let them lapse or let them go away. Continue to do them. Even though there may be a shift, you go back into the pool, you go back into the office, you go back into a more traditional workplace. Keep doing these things. Continue on. You are better because of it. Honest communication, right? Honest communication cuts through a lot of wasted red tape and time. People want honesty. Doesn't mean you need to be blatant or graphic or rude, but you just need to be honest and say, you know what, I heard this many times during the last few months, my kid's having a tantrum, I'm gonna have to call you back. Or my husband needs help with this, or I don't know where this is, I'm just gonna have to call you back later, right? I can get on with my work, so can you if we're honest. Time blocking your work around your life. I've been doing this since I started working for myself in 2018. I can tell you this is life-changing. That is something as simple as making yourself go to a fitness class over the lunch hour, going for a walk, having a date with your kids in the middle of the day. Figure out what that looks like for you, but it's your life around your work to the degree to which you can, okay? Employee independence is huge. Let your employees work on their own to the degree which is safe and appropriate.